Rain hammered against the windshield like the sky itself was trying to erase the past. The old Greyhound bus hissed to a stop on a dimly lit street in downtown Chicago, its engine rumbling like a tired beast. Neon lights flickered on rain-soaked pavement. Taxis splashed through puddles. Somewhere in the distance, a police siren wailed and faded into the cold night. A woman stepped off the bus. Her boots touched the pavement slowly, deliberately, like every step carried 10 years of buried ghosts. Ava Carter pulled her hood down and looked up at the skyline. Skyscrapers sliced into the clouds, their windows glowing gold in the storm. The city looked exactly the same. But she wasn't the same girl who left. Not even close. She breathed in deeply, the icy Chicago air burning her lungs. "Home," she whispered. Except it wasn't really home anymore. 10 years ago, this city burned her life to the ground. 10 years ago, the people she trusted most turned her into a ghost. And tonight, the ghost had come back. The taxi driver glanced at her through the rearview mirror as she slid into the back seat. "Where to?" he asked. Ava stared out the window, rain racing down the glass. "North Side," she said quietly. "Lincoln Park." The driver gave a low whistle. "Fancy neighborhood." "Yeah," Ava replied, her voice flat. "I know." The cab pulled away from the bus station and into the city streets. Chicago at night was alive, restaurants glowing warm through glass windows, couples laughing under umbrellas, music drifting out of crowded bars. The scent of street food and wet asphalt filled the air whenever the taxi stopped at a red light. Ava watched it all silently. 10 years ago she used to walk these streets with hope in her chest and a future in her hands. 10 years ago she believed in people. Big mistake. Her phone vibrated in her pocket. She pulled it out. A single message appeared on the screen. "Unknown number." "You actually came back." Ava's eyes hardened. She typed slowly. "You sound surprised." 3 dots appeared immediately. "Most people don't come back from what happened to you." Ava smirked faintly. "I'm not most people." The reply came after a pause. "Careful, Ava. Chicago hasn't changed." Her fingers hovered over the screen before she typed back. "Good. Because neither have I." She turned the phone off. Outside, the taxi crossed the Chicago River, water black beneath the bridges. The skyline reflected in broken streaks across the surface. The city looked beautiful. But Ava knew better. Chicago wasn't beautiful. Chicago was dangerous. Especially if your name was Ava Carter. The taxi finally stopped in front of a quiet apartment building near Lincoln Park. Tall brownstone buildings lined the street, their windows glowing softly in the rain. Trees swayed in the wind, leaves whispering against street lights. The driver turned back. "That'll be $24. Ava handed him 40. "Keep it." He blinked. Thanks." She stepped out into the rain without another word. The taxi drove away. For a moment Ava stood alone on the sidewalk, staring at the building in front of her. 3rd floor. Apartment 3B. She had memorized the address years ago. Her fingers tightened around the strap of her bag. "Let's see if you still live here," she murmured. Inside, the hallway smelled faintly of old carpet and cleaning chemicals. The elevator creaked its way upward like it might collapse at any second. When the doors opened, Ava stepped out slowly. Her heartbeat remained calm. Controlled. 10 years changes a person. 10 years teaches patience. And Ava had waited a long time for this moment. She walked down the hallway and stopped at apartment 3B. The door looked newer than the others. Security lock. Video doorbell. Someone had gotten cautious. Ava raised her hand and knocked. 3 slow knocks. Silence. Then footsteps. The door opened halfway. A man stood there. He froze. His face went pale. "Holy." His voice cracked. "Ava?" Ava tilted her head slightly. Hey, Ethan. Ethan Brooks looked like someone had punched the air out of him. He hadn't aged well. Dark circles under his eyes. Hair thinner than she remembered. Expensive clothes, though, designer jacket, polished shoes. Still trying to look successful. Still pretending. This isn't possible, he said. Ava smiled faintly. Funny. I thought you might say that. Ethan stared at her like he was seeing a ghost. Everyone said you were dead. Yeah, Ava replied calmly. That rumor worked out pretty well for you, didn't it? His jaw tightened. You shouldn't be here. Relax, Ava said lightly. I'm not here to cause trouble. A lie. But Ethan didn't need to know that yet. Rain thundered against the windows behind her. Finally, Ethan stepped aside slowly. Come in. The apartment was exactly what she expected. Modern furniture. Expensive art. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the park. The kind of place people buy when they suddenly get rich. Ava walked inside, studying everything quietly. Ethan shut the door behind her. His voice was tense. How did you find me? Ava glanced at him. Ethan. She chuckled softly. You always underestimated me. He ran a hand through his hair nervously. You disappeared for 10 years. Yeah. You were arrested. Then the prison fire. Killed everyone? Ava finished for him. That's the story, right? Ethan swallowed. Everyone believed it. Did you? She asked. He didn't answer. Ava walked toward the window and looked down at the rain-covered streets below. Chicago stretched endlessly beyond the glass. So, she said casually. You're doing well. Ethan's voice sharpened. I built my life from scratch. Ava turned slowly. Really? Her eyes locked onto his. Because the last time I checked, everything you have belonged to me. The words hit the room like a gunshot. Ethan's face darkened. That company was failing, he snapped. You were going to ruin everything. Ava raised an eyebrow. Interesting revision of history. You sabotaged the deal, he shouted. You stole the investors. And then, Ava continued calmly, you called the police and framed me for fraud. Ethan said nothing. The silence was heavy. Rain pounded against the glass. Finally, he exhaled. You wouldn't have survived prison anyway. Ava studied him. The honesty in his voice surprised her. You really believed that, she said. Not everyone survives betrayal, Ava. She nodded slowly. You're right. Then her expression changed. Cold. Sharp. But I did. Ethan suddenly looked uneasy. What do you want? Ava walked past him toward the door. For tonight, she said. Nothing. She opened the door. Ethan frowned. That's it? Ava paused and looked back at him. Her smile was calm. Too calm. Oh, Ethan. Her voice dropped. I just wanted you to know. Know what? Ava stepped into the hallway. That I'm alive. The door clicked shut behind her. Inside the apartment, Ethan stood frozen. Something about the way she said those words sent ice down his spine. Outside, Ava walked toward the elevator. Her reflection stared back at her in the polished metal doors. Stronger. Harder. Different. 10 years ago she had been naive. 10 years ago she trusted the wrong people. But prison teaches things. Survival. Strategy. Revenge. The elevator doors opened. Ava stepped inside and pulled her phone out again. She typed a new message. Phase 1 is done. The reply came instantly. Did he recognize you? Ava smiled faintly. Oh yeah. He looked like he saw a damn ghost. A pause. Then, Good. Because the real game starts tomorrow. Ava looked up as the elevator descended. Her eyes reflected in the steel walls, cold and focused. Chicago thought she was dead. Her enemies thought they had won. But the truth was much darker. Ava Carter didn't come back to reclaim her life. She came back to destroy the people who stole it. And Ethan Brooks was only the beginning. Outside the building, Ava stepped into the rain again. Street lights flickered. Thunder rolled over the skyline. She pulled her hood over her head and walked toward the park. Her phone vibrated again. Another message. But this one came from a different number. She opened it. Her steps stopped instantly. The message contained only one sentence. If Ethan was the first, who do you think the second will be? Ava stared at the screen. Then slowly, she realized something terrifying. She hadn't sent her plan to anyone else. Which meant only one thing. Someone in Chicago already knew she was back. And they were watching. Very closely. Ava looked up slowly at the dark city around her. Rain poured harder. Somewhere nearby, a car engine started. And suddenly, for the first time since returning to Chicago, Ava felt something she hadn't expected. Not fear, but curiosity. Because the revenge she had planned for 10 years might not belong to her alone. Chicago looked like it had been dropped into a cold ocean, streets shining black, headlights smearing across wet asphalt, wind whipping through the narrow blocks between tall buildings. The city felt restless, like something was about to happen. Ava Carter stood beneath a flickering street lamp near Lincoln Park, staring at the strange message glowing on her phone. If Ethan was the first, who do you think the second will be? Her thumb hovered over the screen. Unknown number. No location data. Whoever sent it knew exactly what they were doing. Ava slowly locked the phone and slipped it into her coat pocket. All right, she murmured to herself. Guess I'm not the only one playing games. Across the street, traffic rolled by. A couple laughed while running through the rain toward a late-night taco truck. Somewhere nearby, music blasted from a college apartment, bass vibrating through the walls. Normal life. But Ava's world had never been normal. Not since the night everything burned down. She started walking. Lincoln Park stretched beside her, dark trees swaying under the storm. The lake wind carried a sharp chill, the kind that cut straight through clothes. Ava walked with purpose. 10 years away from Chicago hadn't erased her memory of its streets. If anything, it sharpened them. 3 blocks later, she reached a quiet coffee shop tucked into the corner of a brick building. Midnight Grind. The neon sign buzzed faintly. Still open. Perfect. Inside, warm light spilled across wooden tables. The smell of espresso and cinnamon filled the air. A barista with pink hair looked up from behind the counter. Welcome in, she said cheerfully. Weather's insane tonight, huh? Ava nodded, brushing rain from her coat. Yeah. Chicago still likes to remind people who's boss. The barista laughed. No kidding. What can I get you? Black coffee. Strong? Ava's lips twitched. Strong enough to wake the dead. The girl grinned. Coming right up. Ava took a seat near the window. From here she could see the street clearly. Old habit. Always sit where you can watch the exits. Always know who's coming. 10 years ago she never thought like that. 10 years ago she was just a young entrepreneur trying to build a tech startup. Bright ideas. Big dreams. Then Ethan Brooks happened. Her best friend. Her business partner. Her executioner. Ava closed her eyes briefly. Flashbacks tried to crawl back into her mind. Police lights. Handcuffs. Courtroom whispers. Fraud. Embezzlement. Criminal mastermind. All lies. But lies are powerful when the right people believe them. And Ethan made sure everyone believed them. Coffee for mysterious rainy night customer. Ava opened her eyes. The barista slid the mug toward her. Thanks. The girl leaned casually against the counter. You're not from around here, are you? Ava raised an eyebrow. What gave it away? You look like someone who's observing everything, the girl said. Locals usually just stare at their phones. Ava smirked. Guess I'm old-fashioned. The barista shrugged. Well, welcome to Chicago. She walked away. Ava wrapped her hands around the warm mug. Across the street, a black SUV slowly rolled past. Then stopped. Ava noticed immediately. Tinted windows. Engine still running. She didn't react. Just took a sip of coffee. 30 seconds passed. The SUV pulled away. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Interesting. 2 hours later the rain finally slowed. The coffee shop closed. Ava stepped outside again. The streets were quieter now. 2:17 a.m. The city had shifted into its late-night rhythm, fewer cars, more shadows. Her phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. She opened it. You're cautious. I like that. Ava sighed softly. Who the hell are you? Another message appeared instantly. Someone who knows what Ethan did to you. Her jaw tightened. That narrowed the list, but not much. Another text arrived. And someone who knows the other 3 names. Ava froze. Her heartbeat slowed. 3 names. Only 4 people were responsible for destroying her life. Ethan Brooks. Marcus Hale. Daniel Whitaker. And Laura Whitmore. The investors. The board members. The ones who signed the documents that buried her. Her fingers typed quickly. Who are you? 3 dots. Then. Let's just say. I hate them as much as you do. Ava leaned against a streetlight, eyes scanning the empty road. If you know my plan, she typed, then you know I don't share revenge. The reply came instantly. You might want to reconsider. A second message followed. Because you're not the only one they betrayed. Before Ava could answer, a car suddenly screeched to a stop beside the curb. Headlights blinded her. 3 men jumped out. Big. Fast. Professional. One grabbed her arm. Well, the man growled. Look who's back from the grave. Ava didn't panic. She studied him calmly. Scar across his cheek. Boston accent. Muscle. Definitely hired muscle. You boys lost? She asked casually. The second man shoved her against the car. Ethan says hello. Ah. That explained it. Ava sighed. Of course he does. The third man cracked his knuckles. You should have stayed dead. Ava tilted her head. Probably. Then she moved. Fast. Her elbow slammed into the first man's throat. He collapsed choking. The second guy barely had time to react before Ava twisted his wrist and drove her knee into his ribs. Crack. He screamed. The third man rushed her. Ava sidestepped and smashed his face into the car door. Metal dented. Blood splattered. 3 seconds later. All 3 men were on the ground. Groaning. Ava straightened her coat calmly. Ethan really needs better employees, she muttered. She crouched beside the first guy. Tell Ethan something for me. The man wheezed. Ava leaned close. Next time he sends people after me. Her voice turned icy. Send more. She stood and walked away. Behind her, sirens began echoing somewhere in the distance. Across the city, inside a luxurious penthouse overlooking the Chicago River. Ethan Brooks stared at his phone. The call had just ended. His hired men. All 3. Beaten. His hand trembled slightly. Impossible. A deep voice spoke from behind him. You really didn't know? Ethan turned. A tall man stepped out of the shadows. Perfect suit. Silver hair. Cold eyes. Marcus Hale. One of the most powerful venture capitalists in Chicago. And one of the 4 people responsible for Ava's downfall. Ethan frowned. What are you doing here? Marcus poured himself a glass of whiskey. I heard a rumor tonight. What rumor? Marcus looked at him. A ghost came back to Chicago. Ethan's face tightened. You knew she was alive? Marcus took a slow sip. I suspected. Why didn't you tell me? Marcus set the glass down calmly. Because I wanted to see what you'd do. Ethan slammed his fist on the table. She attacked my men. Marcus chuckled softly. No, Ethan. He stepped closer. She defended herself. Ethan's breathing grew heavier. You don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly, Marcus said. His eyes gleamed. Ava Carter survived prison. That alone makes her dangerous. Ethan swallowed. What do we do? Marcus looked out at the Chicago skyline. Rain clouds drifted over the city like dark ships. We do what powerful people always do. And what's that? Marcus smiled faintly. We finish what we started. Meanwhile, Ava reached a quiet motel on the edge of downtown. Cheap. Anonymous. Perfect for temporary hiding. Inside room 214, she closed the door and sat on the bed. Her phone buzzed again. Same number. Nice fight. Ava rolled her eyes. You watching me now? The reply came. Maybe. She typed quickly. You set that up. No. Then how did you know? 3 dots appeared. Then the message came. And it made Ava sit up slowly. Because Marcus Hale is already moving against you. Her eyes narrowed. How do you know that? The response came seconds later. Because I'm inside his world. A pause. Then the final message of the night arrived. And this one made Ava's pulse slow dangerously. And if you want to destroy them all, Ava, you're going to need my help. Ava stared at the screen in silence. Outside, thunder rolled across Chicago again. Somewhere in the city, powerful people were already planning her second death. But now there was a new problem. Someone mysterious knew everything. Her plan. Her enemies. Even her movements. And Ava had no idea whether that person was her greatest ally. Or the most dangerous enemy she had yet to meet. Chicago woke slowly, like a giant stretching after a restless night. Pale sunlight reflected off the glass towers downtown, and steam rose from street vents as early commuters filled the sidewalks. But Ava Carter had not slept. Room 214 of the cheap motel looked untouched, bed still perfectly made, curtains half open. Ava sat in a chair near the window, watching the city wake up while her laptop glowed on the small desk beside her. 5 security camera feeds filled the screen. Street outside the motel. Gas station on the corner. 2 nearby intersections. And the parking lot. No unusual movement. Still. She didn't trust quiet mornings. Her phone lay on the desk beside the laptop. Silent. The mysterious number hadn't sent another message since last night. Which made Ava even more uneasy. She leaned back slowly, sipping cold coffee. Inside Marcus Hale's world, she murmured. If that was true, it meant one thing. Someone powerful. Someone close. Marcus Hale wasn't the kind of man random people infiltrated. He owned half the venture capital firms in Chicago. If you were inside his world, you were either rich, dangerous, or both. Ava closed the laptop. Guess we'll find out. By mid-morning the city buzzed with life. Downtown Chicago looked sharp under the sunlight: steel towers, busy crosswalks, businessmen rushing with coffee cups and briefcases. Ava walked along Michigan Avenue wearing sunglasses and a long black coat. No one gave her a second glance. 10 years ago she used to walk here as a rising tech entrepreneur, meeting investors and pitching ideas in glass conference rooms. Back then she wore bright dresses and carried hope. Now she carried something else entirely. Purpose. Her phone buzzed. This time the message came from a saved contact. Ryan. Ava smirked. She answered. Morning, sunshine. Ryan's voice came through the phone. Jesus, Ava. You couldn't wait one day before starting chaos? Chaos, she said innocently. I heard 3 guys ended up in the ER last night. Occupational hazard. Ryan sighed. You're unbelievable. Ryan Mercer was one of the few people from Ava's old life she still trusted. Former investigative journalist. Now an independent hacker who lived mostly online. They met in prison. Strange place to find allies. You got the files I asked for? Ava said. Ryan's keyboard clacked loudly. Working on it right now. But you better be careful. Why? Because Marcus Hale has already activated his security teams. Ava stopped walking. Crowds flowed around her on the sidewalk. That was fast. Ryan chuckled nervously. Fast? Ava, the guy is paranoid. He's already telling people you're dangerous. I am dangerous. That's not the point. Then what is? Ryan's voice lowered. The point is, someone else has been accessing his network. Ava's eyes sharpened. Someone besides you? Yeah. Who? Ryan exhaled. That's the weird part. I don't know. Ava frowned. You can't track them? They're good, Ryan admitted. Like, scary good. Government level? Maybe better. Ava ended the call slowly. So the mysterious texter wasn't bluffing. They really were inside Marcus Hale's system. Which raised a terrifying question. Who the hell was this person? Meanwhile, inside a massive glass tower in downtown Chicago, Marcus Hale sat at the head of a long conference table. The room overlooked the Chicago River. Sunlight poured through the windows, reflecting off polished marble floors. 8 people sat around the table. Lawyers. Security chiefs. Executives. Marcus folded his hands calmly. Ava Carter is alive. Murmurs filled the room. One lawyer cleared his throat. That's impossible. Marcus slid a photo across the table. Security footage. Ava leaving Ethan's apartment last night. The room fell silent. Well, Marcus said calmly. Apparently not. A tall security director leaned forward. What's the threat level? Marcus smiled slightly. You tell me. The man tapped the table. Former CEO. Framed for fraud. Survived prison. Attacked 3 armed men last night. He paused. Yeah. I'd call that a serious threat. Another executive looked nervous. What does she want? Marcus chuckled. Revenge. The word hung in the air. Finally Ethan Burke spoke. He looked pale. She's bluffing. Marcus turned his gaze slowly toward him. Is she? Ethan shifted uncomfortably. Marcus leaned back in his chair. Ava Carter built a billion-dollar startup at age 26. She survived federal prison. And she came back to Chicago after 10 years. He looked around the table. Does that sound like someone bluffing? No one answered. Marcus stood. Find her. The security chief nodded. Yes, sir. Marcus's voice dropped colder. And this time? Make sure she stays dead. Back in the city. Ava entered a quiet diner near Wicker Park. The place smelled like pancakes and bacon grease. Old rock music played from a jukebox in the corner. A waitress poured coffee into her mug. "You look like you've had a long night." Ava smiled faintly. "You have no idea." She sat near the window again. Habit. Always watch the exits. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Finally. She opened the message. "You're moving too slowly." Ava typed back instantly. "You're watching me again?" "Maybe." "Then show yourself." A pause. Then the reply came. "Not yet." Ava sighed. "You're annoying, you know that?" A second message appeared. "You want revenge?" "I want justice." Ava rolled her eyes. "Same thing." Another text arrived. "Marcus Hale isn't your biggest problem." Ava frowned. "Then who is?" The reply came immediately. And it made her stomach tighten. "Laura Whitmore." Ava stared at the screen. Laura Whitmore. The fourth name. The woman who signed the final legal document that sent Ava to prison. But Laura had disappeared years ago. No one knew where she went. Ava typed quickly. Laura vanished. 3 dots appeared. Then the response came. Not vanished. Promoted. Another message followed. She's the new CEO of your old company. Ava froze. Her old company. The one Ethan stole. The one Marcus invested in. The one that became a billion-dollar empire. Her hand slowly tightened around the phone. Where is she? The answer came seconds later. Tonight. Charity Gala. Four Seasons Hotel. Ava leaned back slowly. The Four Seasons. One of the most elite hotels in Chicago. Rich people. Security. Media. Perfect place to hide in plain sight. Her lips curved into a cold smile. All right, she whispered. Guess we're crashing a party. That evening. Chicago glittered under city lights. Luxury cars lined the entrance of the Four Seasons Hotel. Valets rushed between Lamborghinis, Bentleys, and black SUVs. Inside, the grand ballroom sparkled with chandeliers and champagne glasses. Chicago's richest and most powerful people filled the room. And near the entrance, a woman stepped out of the elevator wearing a sleek black dress. Ava Carter. Her hair styled perfectly. Makeup flawless. No one recognized her. But she recognized everyone. Across the ballroom, Marcus Hale laughed with investors. Ethan Brooks nervously checked his phone. And standing near the stage, Laura Whitmore. Elegant. Powerful. Untouchable. Ava's eyes darkened. 10 years of rage burned quietly behind them. She began walking across the ballroom. One step closer to the woman who destroyed her life. But before she reached Laura, her phone vibrated again. Unknown number. One new message. Careful. Ava frowned slightly. Why? 3 dots. Then the final message appeared. And this one sent ice through her veins. Because someone in that room already knows who you are. Ava slowly lifted her gaze. Across the ballroom, Marcus Hale was staring directly at her. Smiling. Like he had been waiting for her all along. The ballroom lights shimmered like diamonds above the crowd. Crystal chandeliers hung from the high ceiling of the Four Seasons ballroom, scattering warm golden light across polished marble floors. Waiters in white gloves glided between guests carrying trays of champagne while a jazz band played softly near the stage. It looked elegant. Refined. Perfect. But Ava Carter knew a battlefield when she saw one. And this room was full of enemies. Across the ballroom, Marcus Hale continued staring at her. Smiling. Not surprised. Not confused. Just amused. Ava felt a cold chill crawl up her spine. So he knows. Her phone vibrated again in her hand. Unknown number. Told you to be careful. Ava typed quickly. You said someone here knows me. 3 dots appeared. Yes. Marcus? Pause. Then the reply came. No. Ava's eyes narrowed. Then who? The message arrived. And this one made her pulse slow dangerously. Laura. Ava slowly looked toward the stage. Laura Whitmore stood near a group of investors, wearing a sleek white dress. Cameras flashed around her while she laughed confidently. CEO of Ava's old company. 10 years ago Laura had been a quiet board member. Now she looked like a queen ruling her empire. But the moment Ava looked at her, Laura's smile faded. Their eyes met. And Ava saw something shocking. Recognition. Laura Whitmore knew exactly who she was. Ava's jaw tightened. Interesting. Across the ballroom, Laura Whitmore's fingers tightened around her champagne glass. Her assistant leaned close. Everything okay? Laura forced a smile. Yes. But her eyes never left Ava. That's impossible, she whispered under her breath. Her assistant frowned. What is? Laura's voice dropped. A ghost. Ava walked slowly toward the bar. Every step controlled. Every movement calm. But inside, her mind raced. Laura recognized me instantly. That meant something important. It meant Laura had known Ava survived. Which meant someone had kept tabs on her all these years. A bartender slid a drink toward her. Martini? Thanks. Ava lifted the glass but didn't drink. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. You see it now, don't you? Ava typed back. Laura knew I was alive. Yes. How? The reply came slowly. Because she's the one who made sure you survived prison. Ava froze. Her fingers stopped moving. That didn't make sense. Laura Whitmore helped destroy her life. Why would she keep her alive? Ava typed again. Explain. 3 dots appeared. Then. Laura didn't want you dead. She wanted you erased. Ava frowned. That's the same thing. No. Another message appeared. Dead people become martyrs. But prisoners are forgotten. Ava leaned back slightly. That logic sounded disturbingly accurate. Her phone buzzed again. Laura made sure the charges stuck. She made sure you went to prison. But she also made sure you didn't die there. Ava's eyes darkened. Why? The reply came. Because Laura Whitmore doesn't kill threats. She studies them. Ava slowly lifted her gaze across the ballroom. Laura was still watching her. Analyzing her. Just like a scientist studying an experiment. Damn, Ava murmured. You're cold. Meanwhile, Marcus Hale stood near the stage speaking quietly with Ethan Brooks. Ethan looked nervous. I don't like this. Marcus sipped whiskey calmly. You rarely like anything. Marcus, she's right here. I see that. Ethan glanced toward Ava. She's not afraid. Marcus chuckled. Of course she's not. Why? Marcus leaned closer. Because she thinks she's in control. Ethan swallowed. Aren't we? Marcus smiled faintly. Let's find out. Ava's phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Marcus is about to make a move. Ava typed. You seem very well informed. I told you. I'm inside his world. Ava scanned the ballroom. Then tell me something useful. 3 dots appeared. Then the message arrived. Look at the balcony. Ava glanced upward. Second floor balcony overlooking the ballroom. 2 men stood there. Security. Watching her. Her lips curled slightly. Marcus sent observers. Another message arrived. Not observers. Snipers. Ava's blood ran cold. Her eyes quickly scanned the balcony again. Now she saw it. The slight shape under the jackets. Rifles. Hidden. Ava typed quickly. Why would Marcus try to kill me in a room full of witnesses? The response came instantly. He won't. But chaos is easy to create. Ava frowned. Meaning? Then the final message appeared. Meaning someone here is about to die. At that exact moment, a loud crash echoed through the ballroom. A waiter dropped a tray. Glasses shattered. Guests gasped. Music stopped. Everyone turned toward the noise. And suddenly, a gunshot exploded through the room. Bang. Screams erupted instantly. Guests ducked. Chairs overturned. Chaos exploded across the ballroom. Ava's instincts kicked in immediately. She dropped low behind the bar. Another shot rang out. Bang. People ran toward exits. Security shouted. Marcus Hale remained calm. Too calm. Ava realized something horrifying. The shots weren't aimed at her. They were aimed at Laura Whitmore. Laura collapsed near the stage. Blood spreading across her white dress. The crowd panicked. Sirens began echoing outside. Ava stared in shock. That wasn't supposed to happen. Her phone vibrated again. Unknown number. Well, this just got complicated. Ava typed furiously. You said Marcus planned something. He did. Then why shoot Laura? 3 dots appeared. Then the reply came. And this one made Ava's heart pound harder than the gunshots. Marcus didn't. Ava's breath slowed. Then who did? The response came seconds later. The same person who texted you first. Ava's eyes widened. That's impossible. Her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. Different from the first one. She opened the message. And her entire world shifted. The text said only one sentence. Welcome back to Chicago, Ava. The real game starts now. Ava slowly looked around the chaotic ballroom. Police sirens screamed outside. Guests fled. Laura Whitmore lay bleeding on the floor. Marcus Hale stood frozen. And somewhere in this room was the person who just started a war. Ava's lips slowly curved into a dangerous smile. Because whoever that person was, they had just made the biggest mistake of their life. They had turned her revenge into something much bigger. And Ava Carter never backed down from a bigger fight. But she still didn't know one terrifying truth. The mysterious person texting her, and the person who just shot Laura Whitmore, were not the same person. Red and blue lights flashed through the tall ballroom windows, reflecting off shattered glass and overturned chairs. The elegant charity gala had turned into a battlefield of panic, guests rushing toward exits, security shouting orders, waiters frozen in shock. And in the center of it all, Laura Whitmore lay bleeding on the marble floor. Ava Carter crouched behind the bar, watching everything unfold with razor-sharp focus. Her heart wasn't racing. Her breathing wasn't panicked. 10 years of survival had burned those instincts out of her. Instead, her mind was working like a machine. Snipers on the balcony. Chaos in the ballroom. Laura shot. Marcus surprised. Something about that equation didn't add up. Her phone vibrated again. The original unknown number. She opened the message. You're thinking the same thing I am, aren't you? Ava typed quickly. Marcus didn't pull the trigger. 3 dots. Correct. Then who did? The reply came after a pause. Someone who just accelerated your war. Ava glanced across the ballroom again. Police were already storming the entrance. Officers shouted commands as paramedics rushed toward Laura Whitmore. Marcus Hale stood near the stage speaking calmly with security. Too calm. That man always stayed 3 steps ahead. But tonight, even he looked shaken. Interesting, Ava whispered. Her phone buzzed again. But this time, a different number. The second mysterious texter. The one who sent the message earlier. Enjoying the show? Ava's eyes hardened. You shot her. The reply came instantly. Not dead yet. Her fingers tightened around the phone. Why? 3 dots appeared. Then the message arrived. Because Laura Whitmore knows something. Ava frowned. About what? Another message followed. About the night your company was stolen. Ava's breath slowed. That night. 10 years ago. The night Ethan framed her. The night the board betrayed her. She typed again. I already know what happened. The response came back. No. You know what they told you. Ava stared at the screen. The second texter sent another message. Laura knows the truth. Then one final line. And Marcus Hale will make sure she never speaks. Ava's eyes snapped toward the paramedics. They were lifting Laura onto a stretcher. Blood soaked the white dress. Police surrounded the scene. Marcus watched everything quietly. Waiting. Calculating. If Laura died, whatever truth she carried would die with her. Ava stood slowly. Not tonight, she murmured. 2 hours later. Chicago Memorial Hospital. Rain had started again outside, tapping against the emergency room windows. Police officers guarded every entrance. News vans lined the street. Inside the hospital corridor, Marcus Hale spoke calmly with a detective. We're cooperating fully, Marcus said smoothly. The detective nodded. We'll need statements from everyone at the event. Of course. Marcus checked his watch. And Laura? The detective sighed. Still in surgery. Marcus's eyes darkened slightly. Let me know when she's stable. Will do. Marcus turned and walked down the hallway. But the moment he turned the corner, his calm expression vanished. His phone appeared in his hand. He dialed quickly. Status. A voice answered on the other end. Target survived the surgery. Marcus's jaw tightened. Unacceptable. She's heavily guarded. Marcus's voice turned colder. Then remove the guards. The voice hesitated. Sir, police presence is high. Marcus stopped walking. I'm not asking. He hung up. Then he turned toward Laura's hospital room. And began walking. Meanwhile, 3 floors above. Inside a dark hospital hallway. Ava Carter stepped out of a stairwell. She wore a nurse's jacket over her dress. Hair tied back. Face partially hidden under a medical mask. No one stopped her. Hospitals were perfect places for chaos. Everyone moved fast. No one questioned uniforms. Her phone buzzed. Original unknown number. You're insane. Ava typed while walking. You're welcome. Marcus's people are already moving. I know. You're walking into a kill zone. Ava smiled slightly beneath the mask. Wouldn't be the first time. She reached the hallway outside Laura Whitmore's room. 2 police officers stood guard. Ava approached confidently. Nurse Carter, she said calmly. Doctor requested vitals check. One officer frowned. We weren't told. At that moment, the hallway lights flickered. Then went out. Darkness. Emergency alarms blared. Power outage. The officers cursed. What the hell? Ava moved instantly. 2 precise strikes. Both officers collapsed silently. She caught them before they hit the floor. 10 years in prison had taught her many skills. She opened Laura's hospital room door. Inside, machines beeped softly. Laura Whitmore lay unconscious on the bed. Pale. Weak. But alive. Ava stepped closer slowly. Funny, she murmured. You ruined my life. Laura's eyelids fluttered slightly. Ava leaned closer. But tonight. You're going to help me get it back. Laura's eyes opened weakly. Recognition hit instantly. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. Ava? Ava nodded. Yeah. Laura stared at her in disbelief. You're alive. Surprise. Laura winced in pain. You shouldn't be here. Funny, Ava said. That's what everyone keeps telling me. Laura tried to sit up but groaned. You don't understand. Then explain, Ava said calmly. Laura's breathing grew heavier. Marcus. What about him? Laura's eyes filled with fear. Marcus didn't just steal your company. Ava leaned closer. Then what did he steal? Laura looked directly into her eyes. And whispered something that made Ava's blood run cold. Everything. Before Ava could ask more. Footsteps thundered down the hallway. Marcus's security team. They had arrived. Ava cursed under her breath. Her phone vibrated again. Original unknown number. You have 30 seconds. Ava typed quickly. 30 seconds for what? The reply came instantly. To get out alive. Ava looked at Laura again. You're coming with me. Laura shook her head weakly. Too late. Ava grabbed the hospital bed and unlocked the wheels. Not my style. She pushed the bed toward the door. But suddenly, the lights flickered back on. And standing in the hallway, Marcus Hale. 5 armed men behind him. Marcus smiled slowly. Well, he said calmly. This reunion has been a long time coming. Ava stopped pushing the bed. Her eyes locked onto his. Hey Marcus. His smile widened. You survived prison. Barely. Marcus stepped closer. I admire that. Ava shrugged. I admire your timing. Marcus chuckled softly. You came for answers. And you came to bury them. Marcus's eyes gleamed. Yes. The armed men raised their weapons. Laura Whitmore whispered weakly behind Ava. Ava, run. But Ava didn't move. Instead, she smiled. And Marcus noticed something strange. She wasn't afraid. Not even slightly. Marcus frowned. Why are you smiling? Ava slowly lifted her phone. A new message had just appeared. From the original mysterious texter. She turned the screen toward Marcus. Marcus read the message. And for the first time in years, his expression changed. Shock. Because the message said only 3 words. Check the news. Marcus pulled out his phone quickly. Opened the news feed. And what he saw made his blood run cold. Breaking headline. Federal investigation reopens Ava Carter fraud case, evidence of corporate conspiracy discovered. Marcus slowly lifted his eyes back toward Ava. Understanding dawned. Ava smiled calmly. 10 years, Marcus. 10 years I planned this. Police sirens suddenly roared louder outside the hospital. Dozens of them. Marcus whispered quietly. You set me up. Ava tilted her head. No. Then her smile turned sharper. I just returned from the ashes. And tonight, the empire that destroyed her was finally starting to burn.